yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We're playing Super Metroid.
Anyway, back to the thing I had to say. George Lucas, your first re-edit / remaster of Star Wars, fine. Sure. You touched up some of the coloring, you fixed some of the effects, you added a scene or two so stuff made a little more sense for some people. Sure, that's great. We didn't need all the other ones, and you should have left the original ones, because guess what? Some of them are still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is an eccentric millionaire to buy some of those tapes and just digitize them and put them on like a random like data sharing website. Honestly, for like the anniversaries, like, hey, like, oh, it's like this 50th anniversary or like 60th anniversary. They should be released. Be like, hey, this is what it originally was. You can even keep your color correcting. Sure. I don't care. That's fine.
Color correcting is stuff I don't...
We don't need McClunky.
No, we didn't. We definitely did not need McClunky. Oh, do you want to hear like just how nerdy I am when it comes to that stuff, Jeremy? Do you know what the McClunky edit was originally meant for?
What?
Do you remember the Phantom Menace in 3D?
Yeah, I do.
I first of all went and saw it in theaters. Loved it. Fantastic. They were gonna do the other movies in 3D also. They didn't because Phantom Menace bombed. But that's what the McClunky edit was for. It was for the 3D release of A New Hope.
Oh god.
The version that is on Disney Plus now was originally meant to be re-released in theaters.
I hate McClunky so much. That's a really good example of you spent all this time and effort and you made things worse. And it's not even understandable why you did it to begin with. How come whenever he speaks Rhodian, it has subtitles except for McClunky? It's like, cool, like, yeah, like you can see, like, he's like, hey, Han Solo, you're a piece of shit. I don't like you. And then he just goes, McClunky.
Did I get anything new? I got Varia suit. Can I do anything with the Varia suit?
You know, how do you feel about all the shows that came out? There's been a lot of Star Wars shows that have come out in the past, like, 3 years.
I don't think Star Wars has done a show I didn't like so far on Disney Plus, to be completely honest. I already loved the Clone Wars before Disney even bought Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm glad they got to give it, like,
end. I don't really care for Rebels. That doesn't really count as Disney Plus because it started out on the Disney Channel. It's not terrible, but it clearly isn't for me. And that's okay. Mandalorian's fantastic. I really liked the Book of Boba Fett. I don't care what anybody else says.
Oh, I love that too. I thought that was the best one, to be honest.
Is there some down stuff to it? Yeah, the Power Rangers are kind of weird in it, but I don't think it was bad.
The Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much just Power Rangers, isn't it?
Yeah. The kids with the Vespas.
Yeah, it really is just like a weird Power Rangers. I never thought about that. That's definitely just fucking Power Rangers.
Yeah, this is fucking Power Rangers.
It's Breakfast Club and Power Rangers.
I really like Bad Batch.
I haven't watched Bad Batch.
It's good.
I haven't finished Clone Wars either.
Dude, season 2 like just came out. Just to date this episode.
What about Andor?
Andor wasn't bad. I feel like I have more to say about Andor because it's so different than everything else that's come out Star Wars related. And that's not a bad thing. I just like, I feel like Andor's the one I want to rewatch because it is so different, and like, I watched it with a Star Wars lens, and I feel like that doesn't do that show justice, if that makes sense.
You know, I'm gonna give you my definitive tier list of the shows, guys.
Please do.
I haven't finished Andor, so Andor's rating is a little low just because I haven't finished it. But it's not because it's bad. I just haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Let's say Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan are tied for first.
I really liked Obi-Wan. I'm upset people didn't like it.
They kept complaining about that little girl. She did great.
Yeah,
she's also a fucking kid. Give her a break.
I think she did fine.
She did better than I expected, and I expected a lot. It's a kid playing a fictional sci-fi thing. She did great. Yeah, cool, like, her running when she was scared looked a little weird. How are you gonna make a kid actually run in pure fear without actually scaring them?
And I think
It's not the 70s anymore.
the Inquisitors were introduced in Rebels. They were brought back in... What show were they brought back for? Or, no, they were brought back for the video game. The Last Jedi or whatever video game. The one with Cal Kestis. I think the Inquisitors are super cool, and the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, I think, is the main reason people know about them now.
Oh, for sure.
And
that, or with the Old Republic games.
Oh, the Old Republic.
Weren't they in there?
No. Old Republic games are way before that.
I thought they mentioned the Inquisitors in one of them.
It would have had to have been
something else.
It would have had to have been different Inquisitors. I can't go this way yet.
But I really liked Obi-Wan. Book of Boba Fett was fantastic. I know a lot of people complained about like all the flashbacks, like him with the Tuskens, but like
I think that was the best part.
How many years?
I think that was the best part of the show, was the Tusken stuff.
They finally made the Tuskens have a purpose.
Yes.
It's like they're not just savages who go ee. They're like actually like a nomadic tribe. They talk out some of like their stuff. And it's like, oh, these are literally the natives. Like they were painted as like, oh, they're a menace, like they would have been if they were Native Americans in the 1800s. But no, they're real people, and I always liked them. I always thought they were really cool. I love their design and their weapons and all that.
I love that they made them relatable. I think that was really cool, and it's something that Star Wars has never done. And they've been in since they've been in since the first Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm gonna say number 3 spot, because I'll say first is tied for Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett. Mandalorian, I liked it. I don't like the newer stuff, I'm gonna be honest, as much. I feel like once Baby Yoda became a meme, they kind of went a little overkill with it.
It's the new Minion.
It's worse.
Honestly.
The meme, like, at least the Minion memes were kind of like deep fried and shit posty to begin with.
Yeah.
But the Baby Yoda, it's like, hey, I had to get a colonoscopy today and they found cancer. Here's Grogu eating a frog.
Yeah, basically.
It's literally like, cool. The guy who does Mandalorian, like the actor, Pedro Pascal, wonderful. Great human being, 1, and 2, phenomenal actor.
Oh, absolutely. He didn't get his time to shine in Game of Thrones, I don't believe.
Oh, absolutely not. I feel like a lot's gonna come out down the line of how Game of Thrones ended, like everyone's career, but like 2 people, like Star Wars did.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is what? Harrison Ford
got
the only live action one that didn't get ruined, and then
Mark Hamill got to do voice work for the rest of his life, basically.
Yeah, and then everybody else got fucked over, and their careers were ruined. Oh, Billy D. Williams, not as much. Billy D. Williams did what I would have done of just like, you know, I'm gonna milk this. It's successful. I'll pay my bills.
Oh yeah.
I'll be Lando in literally every single thing ever.
Literally everything he's been in since then, he's referenced Star Wars in some way. Like even like that 70s show. He was playing a priest as a marriage counselor for Donna and Eric, and he's like, you know, in Star Wars, the Force is like God, and it's like, all right, I'm into it.
If you look at his accreditations for stuff, it's like, oh, he's done a couple cameos on shows like that 70s show, and then like 50 things where he's Lando, like, oh, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, Lando.
Oh yeah, and even like Robot Chicken, Lando.
Also, Donald Glover. I haven't watched Solo, mostly because the guy who plays Han Solo, I'm not a big fan of. But you look great and did great as Lando. I know that.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you, buddy. If you ever watch this, Donald Glover, I'm proud of you.
I think Solo was really good. Is it my favorite? No, but I don't think it deserves the hate that it got.
I mean, to be fair, it went up against stiff competition. Rogue One being arguably one of the best Star Wars movies ever.
It didn't help that I think we were all sick of Star Wars movies coming out every year at that point too. Because literally that was like year 4 of just Star Wars movies.
Because Solo came out right after Rogue One, right?
It came out, no, we had Force Awakens, then we had Rogue One, then we had Last Jedi.
Salt Planet. Yeah,
then
Salt
we
Planet
had
movie.
Solo, and then we had Rise of Skywalker, and like people did not like those last 2 sequel trilogy movies.
I gotta watch Solo. For a while, it wasn't on Disney Plus. That's why I just haven't watched it, because I think Netflix had the distribution rights for it for a long time.
Oh yeah, they probably did.
And I don't have Netflix, fun fact, because it's expensive and pretty shitty.
And it keeps getting more expensive.
Yeah, like, the way I watched the new JoJo season, because Netflix actually paid a lot of money to have it exclusively, is my friend had an account, so I just watched it on there. But apparently that might go away, because they're going to start charging per account share thing.
Which is really stupid. That's how you lose subscribers.
That's how you lose your company.
Yeah, Netflix is like all concerned about their subscriber count and losing people, but boy, they're on the fast track to doing it.
Let's see. After that, for my tier list, probably Andor. I haven't finished it, but I like the idea of it a lot. Finally, some Star Wars where it's not somebody with a laser stick.
Yeah.
Or like a main flagship character. It's just like, hey, I'm a dude. Fun fact, I'm a dude.
I showed up in a side movie, now I have my own TV show.
I haven't finished Clone Wars. I like it. It's just, I love watching cartoons. I have to be in a really special mood to watch Clone Wars, though. I don't know why. I think I'm oversaturated on Star Wars.
It would surprise me.
I was a Star Wars kid growing up. I was that kid who was like, I would watch Star Wars every weekend. And I hated Force Awakens. I hated The Last Jedi. I hated Rise of Skywalker.
I know it's very controversial, but the only sequel movie I actually can say I enjoyed was The Last Jedi, and it's again because it's so different than everything else.
If I had to pick one, it would have been that one.
I shouldn't be that way. I actually didn't mind some things that Rise of Skywalker did, but it's nothing story related. I'm a simp for fucking fan service, and that movie had a lot of it.
Although I will say, worst part about Last Jedi, why is Leia floating through fucking space?
Yeah, that was weird.
And why did you introduce the idea of light speed cutting through ships? I get it looked cool. It looked fantastic. It had the cool sound that Star Wars does that I really like.
See, I don't even think we consider that a new concept, really, though, because even in the original Star Wars, Han Solo was like, yeah, if I don't do this right, we're just gonna blast into an asteroid field or a star or something and be dead.
And that's cool, but, the whole idea of a ship going that fast at another ship on purpose brings up the whole argument. And I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this, but I've seen a few people of when it was the whole Confederacy of Independent Systems and the Republic fighting each other, why wouldn't they just make drones that are just ships that are really wide that just have a light speed engine in there to run into other ships and just destroy them?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the books that came out before, I think it actually came out before The Force Awakens, Wedge Antilles has an X-Wing that he just disembarks, throws it into light speed, and lets it blow into a Imperial Star Destroyer. And it's you clearly did that to make your movie make sense. And they did the same thing with The Mandalorian. They're oh, we're releasing an episode of The Mandalorian early so that you can go watch the new Star Wars movie. Oh, and the Baby Yoda in this particular episode is force healing. You all love that. So it's in the movie too, by the way. Oh, and you hated it in the movie. Sorry.
I really love the Salt Planet in Last Jedi, though. I love the idea of yeah, this is just a shitty planet that was a mine.
Yeah.
Because before that, they never really brought up, at least in the movies, the idea of not every planet's going to be a livable, cool-looking place. Sometimes it's just going to be a shithole that's just for resources, or it's just there.
Yeah.
And they had hey, there's rebel bunkers everywhere. Because there would be. I hated Force Awakens so much. I think it might be my least favorite one of the sequels.
I think it's the most offensive one.
Because it's literally like, hey, we like you. I know the Star War, right? You want to watch A New Hope again? Here's A New Hope, but a slightly different cast. Don't worry, we got our toy things like BB-8 though.
Yep. It like tried to hit all the same story beats, but like missed the emotional impact for a lot of them. Like,
yeah,
I had somebody trying to defend me. Oh, the Starkiller base is way worse than the Death Star, and I'm like, why? Well, it could blow up 5 planets at once. Okay. Main goal in the original Star Wars: destroy the Death Star. Pretty simple, straightforward. Why do we care? Oh, blew up a planet. What was the significance of that planet? Oh, the pretty princess that we're trying to save in the beginning of the movie, like the first part of the movie, is from that planet, and we had to watch her cry as her people just blew up in front of her. You know, we've
all because she wouldn't spill the beans.
Right. We've got some reasoning to like want that to happen. Starkiller base. Name 3 people on any of those 5 planets.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar wouldn't have been. Jar Jar was on Naboo. Fun fact.
No, Jar Jar was on the New Republic's capital when it blew up.
What's the name of that planet?
Oh, I have no fucking. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Coruscant 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. You know what would have made it better? Mon Mothma showed up in Return of the Jedi. According to canon, she becomes the first New Republic Supreme Chancellor or whatever. Show me that. Show me her on that planet blowing up with it. Like when they show those people on the balcony, show me her, like as an old frail lady.
Or have somebody at like the beginning of the movie have like a clip where it's like, hey, like here's a random here's like Poe Dameron or whatever. Like, turns out he grew up here, and like he didn't like it, so he left and became the edgy rebel he is now. But like, he's from here, and he didn't like the Order and did his own thing. You're
officially a better writer than J.J. Abrams.
I know. Somehow I always knew that. Also, why did each movie have a different director? Well, no, it's not even different director. It's what? It was a director. 2 were the same director, right? And then another one was a different one, but it was spaced out.
The first one and the last one were both Abrams, and then the middle one was Rian Johnson.
Why change it? Make it consistent. You know what? I bet if J.J. Abrams did all 3, it'd at least be a little better as a trilogy.
It would have at least been coherent, maybe. But remember when the last movie came out and Palpatine was suddenly back and they didn't give us a real reason for it in the movie theater? And then you had to go play Fortnite for a specific day at a specific time to find out why? Remember that?
When they made it canon that Palpatine fucked?
Yep. Unfortunately, I do.
Fucking Star Wars. So weird. I thought JoJo was weird. You know what? JoJo doesn't try to hide it. Like, those animes that, like, are weird. It was like, hey, it's weird. Like, the guy really liked looking at beetles, so he has a whole fight scene where there's rhinoceros beetles trying to throw each other. You know what? It's cool. And with JoJo, Bizarre's literally in the title. That's fine. But Star Wars, you're trying to have me take this shit seriously when there's a character called Jar Jar, and there's fart jokes, and he's an idiot. You're trying to make Shrek, like Jar Jar, just a version of Shrek. Mind you, it was before Shrek, technically, although not before, like, concept. But still, like...
Do you know what happened to Jar Jar, like, in canon?
I thought he got blown up from Starkiller Base, because if I remember right, wasn't he, like, a peasant? And he got blown up because people hated him and they blamed him. I
don't know. You're mostly. I don't know as if he was on blown up by Starkiller Base, but he was. He went back to Naboo and basically became like one of those people that performs on the street for money. And this like kid's talking to him and like, why are you doing this? Why are you here? And he's like, oh well, I used to be like a representative in government, and everybody blames me for all the problems in the world now, but I don't really understand why. And it's like a super sad moment. It's in one of the Aftermath trilogy books. Highly recommend it. And say what you will about Disney and the sequels. The Aftermath trilogy, it's pretty okay. really gives you a nice view of like the galaxy right after the destruction of the Death Star.
You know what pissed me off the most about The Force Awakens?
Hmm.
There was a trilogy of books that would have been perfect to make in the movies. The Timothy Zahn books, the Heir to an Empire.
Oh yeah, the original Thrawn books.
That would have been perfect. Literally, like, they explain, like, hey, so, like, Leia does have the Force, but it's very weak because she wasn't trained, and it's not as strong in her, but it's there, and it's really there. She just doesn't really know how to harness it and use it properly. And, oh, the kids that she had, they're also Force sensitive, and she felt it while they were in, like, the womb. That's great. And, oh, what's the big bad evil thing? Cool, people are trying to find the Emperor's personal armory to find, like, where all these, like, terrible Sith-related things are, and where, like, the last remaining, like, Kyber crystal mine is. And, oh, there's a gray Jedi that's actually kind of a dick. And, oh, he kind of has to help the good guys because he's like, you know what? This doesn't keep neutrality. That's a great idea. That's wonderful.
You know what? The original Thrawn trilogy is really good. I'm really glad they're bringing Thrawn into Disney's Star Wars canon. Or well, they have brought him in. He's just before the fall of the Empire now. I really wish that they'd introduced the loooooong, which was...
What about the Slarmy?
The loooooong was a invading alien species from outside of the galaxy.
Oh.
And I think that's such a cool concept. And I want it. They basically had technology, like, they were destroying planets by pulling other planets into each other.
That's cool.
They were, they were going to destroy this planet with a bunch of just innocent people on it, and Han Solo collects as many of those people as he can, loads them on the Millennium Falcon, and Chewbacca, being the badass Wookiee warrior that he is trying to help load the last people. The Millennium Falcon takes off because Chewbacca basically told Han to go without him, and Chewbacca basically stays on this planet protecting people while a fucking moon plummets into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. And also, it would have been cool, like, imagine if they did that and they had, like, their new Empire equivalent, whether it be the First Order or something else, working with the new Rebel Alliance equivalent, like, hey, we got issues, but this gets rid of both of us. Can you imagine if there was a battle where you see a bunch of stormtroopers against a bunch of rebels? And you'll have, like, shots where it's like, cool, that stormtrooper's on LMG, and there's a rebel giving him the ammo boxes for that slug thrower or whatever.
I'm into it.
Also, they need the Islarmi, because the Islarmi were funny. Those little lizard weasel things, they block the Force. And how stormtroopers were like, you know what? This blocks the Force, so they made suits that were essentially just giant, like, garbage bags full of these little fucking creatures. And it's like, haha, you can't throw me now. You know what would also be really cool, Gus?
What's that?
Next time.
Oh, shit. Is it time for next time?
It is.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy Star Wars episode.